What's up guys, it's Justin. I hope you're doing well. As you know, I recently went driving for GrubHub and I made a lot of money. Like $32 an hour, a lot of money. It was crazy. But what I found is that when it came down to the difference in pay between GrubHub and DoorDash, the main factor was tips. GrubHub tips were crazy and DoorDash tips are typically not that great. So what I wanted to do was show you guys an older ride along of me doing DoorDash so that you could compare it to some of the GrubHub tips that I made. Pay attention specifically to the dollar value of the orders, and then after the ride along is over, I'll break down those tips compared to the GrubHub tips that I made in my last video. And then I have a big announcement, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be giving you guys some crazy news and you're not going to want to miss that. So watch the ride along, get ready to hear about some interesting things regarding DoorDash's tipping system, and be ready for some big news. What's up guys? Today we are going for my DoorDash record in a single day, which would be $172. So we're going to try to make $172 or more today. If we're averaging $20 an hour, we're going to have to work for about 9 hours today. So that's the goal. It's not very busy in my area right now, but there's an area about 25 minutes away that has $2 peak pay turned on right now. So I think I'm gonna head up that way, try to make as much money as possible today, and let's see how it goes. Started off with a quick fill up at Costco. Never fun to have to use the reach around method, but we did it anyway. And a little side note, I am an executive member around here, so kind of a big deal. But after we were done doing that, we headed over to Zaxby's where we had this great first order, $7.75 for less than 3 miles. We love taking that. Then kind of went on a dry stretch where we didn't have much of anything going on, and you never want to have nothing going on when peak pay is turned on. So we sat there for a little bit frustrated on that one, but eventually we did get our next order to Chick-fil-A. Another $7.75, this one for less than 4 miles, so still a pretty good rate. Once we dropped that off, we headed over to the Pizza Hut, once again almost making $2 per mile on this order. And I want you to pay attention to this moment right here, because the second that I turned off the camera, I was met with a shut door and realized the sign said proceed to drive-through window for pickup. So I shamefully headed over there. Really a low point for me today, but once I recovered from that, I was on my way to Little Caesars for what was one of my best orders of the day. Over $8, less than 3 miles. We take that all day long. It was really a lot of food, and not gonna lie, I came pretty close to dropping at least one of these sauces multiple times. But the risk was worth the reward because we ended up making even more than we anticipated, and that is always a morale boost for us. After we dropped that one off, we made our way to a local Mexican restaurant, and let me tell you, they had the Mexican music bumping in there. I don't know if I could have had a more enjoyable time waiting for my food. Pair that with the Christmas decorations that are still up 2 weeks after Christmas, and I would say that this place was the best. And even better than best is once again making more than I anticipated. Again, whenever we accept a trip, we already plan on making enough money to make it worth it. So whenever we earn even more than that, that's a huge bonus for us. All right, so I've been at this about 2 hours so far, and I've made $42.91. So we are keeping on that $20 pace right now. I am expecting it to slow down a little bit because it's 2:30, so we're coming out of that lunch rush. Might be a little slow while we're waiting on the dinner rush, but that's okay. Also, peak pay is over, so that's gonna hurt a little bit as well. But so far, $42.91 in 2 hours, that's pretty good, so we're gonna keep going. Had to decline this one. 9 miles is just too far for only $9, but it led us back to Chick-fil-A where we'd be making over $2 per mile, so that's really nice. And then I got an order from a place called Tasty and Delicious, and let me tell you what, the food looked tasty and delicious. And after getting an absolutely laughable order from Wing Basket, we were once again on our way back to Chick-fil-A. I feel like this is just a Chick-fil-A repeat track today, but nonetheless, after skirting around a FedEx truck, we are on our way to making another $7.50. And you probably won't believe it when I tell you this, but after dropping off that Chick-fil-A order, we got a Chick-fil-A order. So I was on my way right back to the promised land, where unfortunately I actually did have to wait this time. It was the first time I haven't walked into the Chick-fil-A with my food just sitting there ready to go. And while that was a little bit disappointing, it wasn't nearly as disappointing as the orders I was about to get. $4.50 to go 4.9 miles, $4 to go 5.5 miles, and then an order that wasn't so bad from Barbecuity, which I took. However, unfortunately, the country fried chicken takes an eternity to make, so I was left sitting there for almost 15 minutes being told that the food was almost ready, and it slowed me down a ton. But once I finally did drop that order off, I got one from Papa John's. Had to park an eternity away. You should see Papa John's come into the camera frame. time. There it is. Okay. And once I finally finished that trek and delivered the food, I was running through the halls to save as much time as possible. We went on an interesting little stretch here. Papa John's, $6 for less than 3 miles. Fantastic. McDonald's, complete with the Christmas tree, $5.75 for 1.3 miles. That order was amazing. On top of that, I came to find out that once again we were in peak pay, making an extra $1.50 an order, so that was fantastic. However, I got stuck sitting in the parking lot for quite some time without an order, and like I said earlier, when you have peak pay on, you don't want to be sitting there. But after that, I got a couple of firsts. The app offered me a Walgreens order to pick up 7 items for $8. It was only 1.6 miles, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I hate shopping, and I'm pretty sure this would have taken me forever, so I declined it. And then right after that, I got an alcohol order, $6.50 for 1 mile of travel. Contemplated having a little bit of a party and decided to make my money instead. After that, we were on our way back to, you can guess where, Chick-fil-A for another fantastic order, paired up with an amazing parking spot as well. And on the delivery, we got to see some pretty beautiful Christmas lights. I figured I'd share these with you. Again, it's 2 weeks after Christmas, but heck, if you put that much work to put them up, why would you be in any rush to take them down? That Chick-fil-A trip actually had a pretty hefty customer tip on it. Once again, that's a huge morale boost to us. And then I picked up a Zaxby's order, which looked pretty good up front and ended up being even better because it also had a massive customer tip. All right, I'm going to stop it right there. Things get actually progressively worse as the night goes on for me, but I think you've seen enough to get an idea of what the dollar values of most DoorDash orders are like. We're talking in the $5 to $10, maybe $12 or $13 range, and the tips are not excellent at all. Really, if you saw some of those tips, you might have been a little bit surprised that I was pretty excited about those. Well, for DoorDash, they were pretty good. And I actually have it broken down as far as my 5 highest tips that I got that night, and they were $8, $7.50, $6.66, $5, and $5. Those were my 5 largest tips on those many orders that I did that day. And personally, I'm not here to complain and talk about, oh, people should tip more. That's ridiculous. I think $8 is a perfectly awesome tip, especially on a not so large order. So I'm not going to complain about that and talk about the customers or anything like that. But I want to draw your attention to something, because when I went driving for GrubHub, I literally only did 5 orders. And here are what the tips were on those 5 orders. $20, $7.84, $6.07, $10, and $12.03. Now listen to those numbers, because they are substantially larger than pretty much every single DoorDash tip that I made. And again, those first 5 DoorDash tips you heard, those were the 5 highest that I made over all my deliveries. Those GrubHub tips you just heard were just my 5 tips that I made. No pulling away the smaller tips, no, nothing like that. I made multiple tips that were $10 or more. You saw a $20 tip. Fun fact, in all of the DoorDashing that I've ever done, the largest tip I have ever made is $15 one single time, and I've only had 2 orders that have ever gone over $10 as far as tips go on DoorDash. Well, within the course of an hour, I had already accomplished that on GrubHub, so it really brings you to question some things, because that's a little bit strange. There are really only 2 things that we can place blame on here, and again, I don't want to rag on customers or do anything like that, but it is possible that there is a very different customer base using DoorDash than there is using GrubHub, and quite simply the people on DoorDash that are using that service just aren't tipping as much. That is possible, and we can't rule that out. But it feels a little bit fishy that within the course of an hour, I can make my 2 largest food delivery tips of all time on GrubHub, even though I've probably put in well over 100 hours worth of DoorDashing. That is strange and doesn't feel like just a coincidence in customer base. It feels like the tips aren't that large on DoorDash, and maybe for a specific reason. Now, I'm not going to come out here and tell you that DoorDash is keeping tips or hiding tips or doing anything like that, because I simply do not have any factual evidence against this. And I don't want to make any opinion-based claims and go on the internet and do anything like that. That's not in my interests at all. But what I will say is that some of you have actually commented, and I've read about it a number of times on the internet, that as a customer, you've put in the DoorDash notes, hey, I tipped you $5, let me know if you get something different. And the driver has come back and said, that's weird, I actually only got $3. I only got $3.50. And of course, you could attribute this to maybe being a glitch or just the system messing up in some way, but that's a weirdly coincidental thing for the system to mess up on. I mean, the driver not getting the tip that they deserve? Kind of weird. So again, I've read that in a number of places from a number of different people that aren't connected at all, and that is suspicious. However, I'm not going to go out and strictly say that DoorDash is keeping tips. Don't hear me say that. Just take this information for what you will, because on GrubHub, I was able to make substantially larger tips than any single drive I've ever made on DoorDash. And I just found that interesting. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I told you that if you stuck around to the end of the video, I would have a massive announcement, and sure enough, I've been talking about it for weeks, but finally, as of today, we have hit the 500 subscriber mark. So thank you guys so much for your loyal following. Thank you guys so much for blowing up these videos over these past couple months. I love making these videos, and I appreciate you guys so much. I told you at 500 subscribers, we would do a 24-hour DoorDash challenge, which is hilarious because as soon as I started announcing that, I discovered how awesome GrubHub was. But I'm gonna stick to my word. I'm gonna do exactly what I told you guys, and later this week you can expect to see my 24-hour DoorDash challenge. So if you haven't subscribed, it's too late to be in that first 500 subscribers, but you can still make it into the first 1,000, which is a huge deal, and you're gonna want to subscribe because 24-hour DoorDash challenge is on its way. Again, thank you guys so much. It means the world to me to be at 500 subscribers, and really, we're not on the road to 1,000. We're on the road to 1,000,000. I already know it. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Of course, subscribe to the channel. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.